Welcome to Roxtalks. My name is Roxanne Wilson, and it's time for a new episode. I think you're really going to enjoy this because for me, this is totally out of the box. In fact, this might be the most risque episode I've ever done. But when I discovered Olesha Haskett on Instagram, because you can discover a lot of amazing things on Instagram, I'm sure you know, I was like, ooh, I got to see more. And then you go down that rabbit hole, and next thing you know, you're like deep down. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to go this deep down into her stuff, like mini stalker, I should probably have her online so it's like on the show. So Olesha, thank you for saying yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, I didn't mention Olesha Haskett is with OhExperience, and it's photography, but it's not just any type of photography, correct?
Yes, no, not at all. No.
She does boudoir photography.
Yes, boudoir photography. I empower women. That's what I do.
And I want to talk about that because it's interesting, especially in this climate, what you're doing. Now, I would say, now this is me, you tell me if I'm right, boudoir photography, boudoir. I feel like I'd have to say it like that long. Became more and more popular over the last decade. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I definitely do.
How do you define boudoir photography?
Well, for me, it depends. It depends on who I'm working with because my actual sessions are, I call them experiences because of OhExperience. But my experience are really about the client. So if she wants to go, full on nude, risque, then I'm down. But if she wants something, more where she is on the covered up side, maybe she wants to have maybe a big sweater or something that, shows a hint of shoulder or a hint of cleavage. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on the client itself.
And did you wake up one day and say you wanted to do this? Or how does one get from A to Z?
So I actually have a degree in photography. So I did go to school I have a degree in fine arts. And I did fashion. I got out, did weddings. I went back, got a master's, and it was
photography as well.
No, in business, actually, in business.
Smart. Okay, good, nice.
So I did weddings. As soon as I graduated from getting my BFA, I did weddings, and I love them because I love to interact with people. But it was just a lot. Like it was a whole lot going on.
I live it. Yeah.
So many things, but the part I really loved about the weddings was when the bride was getting ready because she has her makeup on, she has all of her girls, her family around her, the women in her family who are propping her up, telling her how gorgeous she looks, how beautiful she looks. And that moment really, I love that. That was my favorite moment of the whole wedding, other than when they get down the aisle and they kiss and he sees her. But just that moment in and of itself was like so, for me, just changing because it was a moment where most women, once they get their pictures taken, it's usually prom, family portraits, and then weddings or weddings before that, and then nothing else. Like there's no, unless you, in the 80s, it was like glamour shots, early 90s, but there was nothing else. Like there was nothing else that really came into play to say, who are you now? And what do you want to be seen as now? Like, how do you define your sexy? How do you define yourself? So for me, it was more so like a transitional phase where I was in weddings and I was just getting burnt out, getting tired. But that part always stuck with me. So I did portraiture. My sister had my nieces and my nephews. So I'm like, okay, I'll get into that so I can take pictures of them. And I loved it. And then I realized that, I wanted to do something that I felt connected to. And so boudoir was what I really felt connected to.
Wow. And so when you did, that's a big switch, I think, from going to wedding shots where you're there all day long to, okay, how do you market yourself as a boudoir photographer?
So what I really do is I market to the emotion. So I will say, when was the last time you actually did something for yourself? And a lot of women have to stop and think damn, I don't know when I did. Oh, wait, do you mind if I curse?
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I had to act that.
So bad you said the D word. Okay.
Just want to know, you never know. Yeah. But it was one of those things. I was like, how many times have you done something for yourself? And I started, to talk to women. And I have a group on Facebook that's full of women. And a lot of them was like, I never saw myself as this person who's sexy. Like I never saw myself as this person who can, show that softer side because I've always had to be this strong person, I may be a single mom or whatever. And just always having that connection, or that not that connection with, you know, that goddess within them. So what I try to do is I market to the emotions, and instead of just saying, you know, you should come spend money and invest, I say invest in yourself.
So what I think you just said there is so good and applicable to any business, because, you
Yeah.
know, we always say that facts tell, stories sell, and you're giving them that story, that vision, that emotion, which causes them to want to dig deeper and then ultimately hire you. Genius.
Yes, because it's not just about boudoir for me personally. Like I surround myself with women who are boudoir photographers, and we all have our different, you know, clientele and how we go about doing things. But for me, it's not just about boudoir. That's why when you see my Instagram feed, like there's stuff all over the place, because it's not just, you know, my pictures.
Mhm.
It's, you know, on Tuesdays I'm starting something called Fierce Women, because I want women to understand that it's about your entire self. Like, it's not just about you being sexy. It's about you feeling sexy all the time.
So what do you see, like when you have clients come in and they make this decision to go ahead and do the boudoir photography, do you see them have a transformation or change in that moment?
I do. What's funny is like the initial like that moment when they get in and they meet with my makeup artist, and then, you know, they have those nerves and they're like, okay, you know, I can do this, because I give them like an entire array of posing and things before the session, and I actually allow them to do a Pinterest page or a Pinterest board, which is a
Mhm.
secret board, where they actually are able to just drop everything. I tell them I don't care what it is. It could be a mood board, it could be whatever. You could show me pictures of things you saw. So that way I always have a direction of where or what they want. And then from there, usually what happens is like I tell them, you know, get out of your mind. That's always the biggest part, is just getting someone out of their mind, because if you, for me, I know I'm thinking all the time. So, you know, behind me is what you see, my own boudoir pictures. And it was so hard for me to stay out of my mind and be like, okay, put your foot here, you gotta put your leg here, did you point yourself, like, and so I try to, when they come in, I tell them, you know, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to pamper you, I'm going to tell you what to do, so you don't have to think about anything. You
Nice.
know, you come ready, I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to have you in the vision that you saw yourself in. I'm going to make sure I do that for you based on what you look like right now. And so it helps because they start to trust me. Like I have a whole intake process where we have conversations. We talk on the phone a couple times. I send emails. You know, I send them things. I invite them to come into my group. And that way they get to know me. They get to see other sessions that I've done previously. And so they get to get excited, like that excitement that they have, which turns from nervousness to excitement.
Yeah.
And so it's a way for them to see that. And then when they come in, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to look crazy. Don't worry about the posing. I'm going to show you what to do. Don't worry about what I look like. Just look at what I do. Just look at how my leg is. And then you do the same thing. And then, you know, you can laugh at me. But then when you get there, when you get in that moment, when you get to, I call it the zone, like they get into that boudoir zone, and it's like usually 30 minutes after. And then they're always like, damn, I really didn't do this. I didn't think about this before. Like, I really want to set up the next one, because it makes them feel in that moment powerful, which a lot of times, you know, as women, sometimes we have issues with showing that side of us without people saying, oh, you know, you're a bitch, or you're this, or you're that. But in this space, I really want it to be a safe haven for them to say, express however you want to express yourself. If you want to be nude, you go ahead and be nude, girl. I'm all for you. I will take pictures of it, whatever you want. And that's what I try to, you know, encourage them, especially in the group I have, and make sure that they understand that.
I love that. I love that it's a relationship. I think with any photography, you need to feel comfortable with the person behind the camera, because that helps you be your true self, and it helps the camera see you. But what I think is really interesting, and I was going to say this and I thought, well, this is kind of ridiculous because it's the name of your company, but you are truly making it an experience.
Yes.
Which is
yes.
why you probably have people coming back. And I think in this day and age, any business needs to make sure that it's not just here's a good or a service, but here's an experience. How did it make you feel? Do you want to go back? Because especially with social media the way it is, and how you can find people all around the world to do what you need, what differentiates you from other people? And it's the service, it's the experience, which you sound like you're nailing it.
Thank you. Yes. So with that, I capture them and then I bring them into my fold. I call it the beauty tribe. So they're there as well and seeing me every week. Like I go live every Tuesday.
Nice. And what do you do when you go live?
Whatever's on my mind, I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. Sometimes I'll bring in other women. Last week we had a woman yoni steaming, so vaginal steaming. She came in. We've had a tarot card
I'm
reading.
sorry, wait, go back. Vaginal steaming. Don't know what that is. So please.
Me neither. Okay, I did it. Again, I was on Instagram. I have a tarot reader that I actually use, and so I usually get connections through her because she has a really good just foundation of women who do a lot of things. So I just happened to be going through and I saw her and I said, you know what? She is something, and I've talked to the women in my group and they're like, they talked about it and they ask questions all the time. I'm like,
what is it though? I feel like it's something I would have seen on like Real Housewives of Fill in the Blank, but I don't know what it is.
So it's basically, they use herbs, and what you do is you sit, it almost looks like a toilet almost, but you sit on it and then they use the herbs to steam your vagina. That's basically it. And so they use it to help with like endometriosis, if you have like painful periods, if you have fertility issues. So that's what it's around. It's all around, the womb itself.
Wow, interesting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was like vaginal steaming. But so you have different people that come on. Now let's talk about that. So you decided you have your business, but you've made a group. Do you do it on Facebook?
Yes.
A Facebook group, and you made a community. What made you decide to do that? Because I think that's another great business tool in 2019 that's very important.
Well, the first thing was just to get clients. That was the biggest thing. Like my initial investment in the group was to make sure people know that I'm not doing weddings anymore and to understand that I'm transitioning to just doing boudoir. Mm-hmm. And so that was the initial, I had a contest where I was like, invite as many women as you can, and you will be able to get a free boudoir experience, and that really catapulted that to, having over 1,000 women in the group.
Wow. So, just from that contest.
Yeah. And it was amazing because after that, they stayed because I was putting out a lot of content. Like every day I at least put something in the morning that talks about empowerment and, things they should do throughout the day. And then in the evening, we have like a contest. It could be random contests. And if I have any events coming up, I'll let them know in the group. Again, I go live on Tuesdays, or either I will put in like Mother's Day. I put in, if you're a mompreneur thing. I don't even know.
Mompreneur, yeah.
I'll say, put your information in and put it up, or Small Business Saturdays. So I'll say, Saturday, drop your link in and tell us what you do, because I know that we have amazing business owners in this group. So let's share and let's make sure that we're connecting and making sure that our tribe is working within the tribe to empower others.
I love that. I love it. So you really made a community of women helping women.
Yeah,
as they're not only finding their strength and their voice and their sexiness through the pictures, the photography, but also as they move on with each other.
Yes.
When you go live on Tuesdays, what do you typically talk about? Or what kind of things? You said you have guests, but...
Yeah, guests. I try to do it once a month with the guests. I will do posing. I have done just if there's something like happening on social media, I'll talk about that. We've talked about, like, I tell them my story and I have them talk, the comments, and we'll talk about things. I recently went to Greece, so I went live there.
It looked amazing.
Yeah, so I went live there and I showed them my room. I showed them what I did. And so they were able to connect with me when I was there. So whatever I have going on in my mind is what I'm doing. And I go live in a robe. Like, this is right now. But when I am live, I have a robe on, I may have a t-shirt on. It just depends. But I want them to see me as, Olesha, and not just as a photographer. Yeah.
So you want it to be, again, it's a relationship. You're selling a relationship and experience. And they're getting more than just the photography when they decide to go with you as opposed to someone else. So you're giving them the differentiators, which is amazing. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like, because I think back to oh my gosh, what's the name of those books? Oh, 50 Shades of Grey. Okay. So I think like pre-Grey, no one was like talking about watching any of these, things. It was not a thing. And then all of a sudden it was like, everyone's reading 50 Shades and they're not afraid to read it with the book cover. And now everyone's talking about BSDM. Do you feel like boudoir photography has had that same type of revelation or acceptance in society, or is it still waiting for its moment?
I think it depends on who the photographer is. Because I'm in a group on Facebook that has, I think, around 8,000 boudoir photographers, and
Wow.
they all do different things. And so I think with that, some of the more
What do you
risque.
mean by that? Because you mentioned that before too. What, like, give me some ideas of what's different, you know?
So for me, my photography tends to be more towards Black women. And
Mm-hmm.
then with that, like there are some photographers who do, plus size women. I do everything with that. And then there's some who do, I wouldn't necessarily call it pornography, but like some of them will be right on the cusp of, this could go to that next level. And so when they share, like some will do themes, like I don't do themes. And they'll have, Valentine's Day theme, they have this theme, they do guns, they do like, I don't do that. Or if
Yeah.
they're on a military base, there are a lot of people who will do pinup shoots on the military base, and that's their theme. Like they do pinups and they do them very well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they actually will go to. It's just, if you come to me, this is what you get. You get pinups, because you are on a military base and this is what you have. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you can make it whatever you want it to be, which is why I love this type of photography, because I know who my clientele is and I know what I'm looking for in my space, and I can serve my clients in that space.
So when I see, like, I have some friends who did the whole pregnancy
Yeah.
boudoir. That's a thing too, right? Does that fall in? It's like the naked pregnant pictures. I don't know. Is that what I call it?
Yes.
And that's another like category, correct?
Exactly. Yep. It could be, and like I said, it could be pinup. They have some who do, I think they're called sex cam girls or escorts, and that is their primary base. So that's what they do, and they do that very well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what they choose to focus on, market to.
Yeah. We seem to be moving from I don't know how to say this, but you think about it with everything going on, like it's the women's movement again. Like we've had one, but with Me Too and with all sorts of different things going on, women are kind of seizing their sexuality in different ways.
Yeah.
How do you think this plays a part into all of that? Do you think it progresses it forward, or do you think it pulls it back a little bit?
I think it progresses it forward for me personally, because I find that my sessions they're about the woman. They're about her. And she tells me what she's comfortable with and what she's not comfortable with. So even before I pick up the camera, I'm talking to her about, what she wants. And I think that is a part of that movement, is identifying what you want and owning that and saying, this is what I am at this moment. If I have roles, if I have this, if I have that, this is who I am right now, and you're going to take it. Or if you leave it, you leave it, but I'm still going to be myself and I'm still going to be good. Mm-hmm. And I think that in that space, which is where I come in, I'm telling, the women that I deal with, or just in my group, yes, like be you, because no one else is available to be you. So mm-hmm. Don't try to be anyone else, but understand that, when you are you, you have to own it, and you have to say and stand in that moment and say, this is me. I know what I'm going to do. If I want to change myself, I do it because I want to. If I want to get plastic surgery, if I want to get eyelashes, I want to get, fake hair, whatever it is, it's me, and I'm doing it for me and not for anyone else.
Oh, I like that. That's good stuff. Do you find that people are getting the pictures, the photography done for themselves or for other people? Or does it change morph with your clients? Yeah.
Initially, it was for, the weddings. So it was more, I'm doing this for my groom. And then when I started to change my narrative is when it changed into, okay, I'm doing this for me. Mm. Now there are, boudoir photographers who really cater to the brides. But for me, I know that being a bride is chaotic in that space. So I know that, with all of that happening, like that can be a lot to think about. I have this other photo shoot, then I have an engagement shoot, then I have my wedding. And so I wanted to be, come to me after maybe your 1-year anniversary. So you can then have the experience and understand, how each part is set up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think it's fascinating, and I can't help but look at your pictures behind you right there. And I think it's interesting because I feel like boudoir photography kind of changes the narrative, kind of like Instagram does, in the sense where back in the day, the only people who could look that fabulous and amazing were models.
Yep.
But it's kind of like you're evening the playing field in some ways.
It is. And even they don't look like that. That's what I try to tell the ladies in my group all the time. They don't look like that either.
Yeah. Yeah. But so do you do a lot of Photoshop after, or you just do what the client wants you to, or?
What I usually will do is I will actually do, you know, like under the eyes, if they have certain blemishes or marks that they want to get rid of, and I'll do that. I've had clients, I had one client who had a very, very like scar. Someone attacked her. So she had a scar that was like from the top, from her lip all the way up to almost her ear. And so before we started, we did a plan to say, you know, she was saying, I don't want to take pictures from the side of my face. I was like, we can. I just need to know how far you want me to go when it comes to, you know, taking the scar down and showing you who you were before. And, you know, I usually don't go into slimming that much. If it's something that, you know, if it's maybe a tag or something here or there and I need to get it out the way, something like that. But I'm not going to liquefy you to death. Like, I don't want to make you a new Backstreet Boy. I don't want to do all that. That's not me. There are people who do that, who will, you know, make your face into porcelain. I'm not the person. Like, I'm not. And I tell them up front, like, I'm not going to make you look like that. That's not me. If you want that, I can give you some people, but that's not me.
See, I wasn't even talking about the face. I was talking about, like, what if you got a little hanging out there or there? Do you take care of that? Or you're just saying, this is your body, love it?
And that's the thing. It depends on what they want. Like, I'm not going to slim you down so you look like a totally new person. Like, that's just not me. And I think because when they see my work and they see how I work with different body types and they see that they can still look sexy being, you know, a size 16 or over, then they understand, like, okay, I don't really need to do that. I just need to be myself. And then with the garments that we talk about and we choose, I always ask them, you know, what is one part of your body that you are starting to love? I don't say hate. I always say, like, starting to love. And then from there, I know what to choose when it comes to lingerie to minimize what they don't want to show.
I feel like you need to do empowerment classes.
I
do.
It's so crazy that has come up. Like, this has been, I think I've talked to like 5 or 6 different women who said that to me just in the last like 4 months.
Do I need to explain to you how this works? The universe, God, whatever you pray to, Beyonce is telling you something.
And it's so funny because I always, you know, I'm a very spiritual person. So I always try to sit in silence, which is hard for me because my brain is like this. And that's always one of the things I'm like, you know, show me what I'm supposed to do because I want to make sure that I am living in my purpose.
Yes. And do you feel like you've settled in that purpose more now than when you're doing photography of other kinds?
I do. I honestly do, because I like with weddings, it was very stressful because there were so many pieces that you had to worry about, like so many issues, so many, you know, I've been to weddings where people have been fighting and it's just over just like simple things. And I'm just like, this is too much.
Blame it on the alcohol.
Alcohol, blame it on, you know, family relations.
Stress.
And I was just like, damn, I have to be a therapist. I have to be a photographer. I have to do this. And I was just like, this cannot be. I love children and I love like taking pictures of my nieces and my nephew. But that can be tiresome too, because then you got to just wait for them. Like, you don't know what they're going to do. Kids are unpredictable. So you just like, you know what? If you want to lay on the ground, I'll lay on the ground with you and I'll take pictures. Like, okay, that's what we're doing today. So that's what we're going to do. And so I'm just like, now I feel like I'm in my space to grow and to do more.
Does it give you life? Do you feel like that you're getting more from it? It's feeding you.
It really does. And it's not even just the pictures themselves. It's what happens after. Like when I call my clients my beauties. When she sees her images, and from that point on, like that sparkle, that look in her eye, like, oh my God, like this is me. I'm like, yes, that's you. Like that is you. And that moment right there is what I love. Like that moment when she's like, this is me. I'm like, yeah, that's you right there. And they can't believe, you know, that they thought they looked like, I call it a baby giraffe when they were posing. And I'm like, but yeah, that's your baby giraffe pose. But look how amazing you look as a baby giraffe. Like, you look amazing. You look sexy as shit. Like, own it.
Yeah, you're giving Stella her groove back is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are, and I'm putting you on the spot, but if you could give us a few tips for women everywhere, whether they're doing boudoir photography and going through experience or not, what are 3 ways or 3 things they can do right now to feel more empowered and feel more comfortable in their own skin?
One thing is look at yourself in the mirror naked. And I mean, every part of your body. And I always say this, like, tell your body how much you love it. So if you start with your feet and you say, you know, I love my feet. I love you because you take me places that I never thought I could go. You know, I love you legs. I love you arms. I love you. Like, tell your body that you love it. Because I always find that unconditional love of yourself allows you to open up to unconditional love from other people and other things. Especially, I know some of my ladies are, you know, single and they're looking for that person. I'm like, but if you don't love yourself, how can you expect someone else to love you? So that's the first thing, like understanding that every part of your body has to be loved. And then from there, you know, what I always say is have one thing in your closet that you love, like something that makes you feel just like $1,000,000, and wear that as often as you can. And I always say, like, if I find something that I really, really like, because I have big feet, like I wear a size 11 narrow.
But you love them, but you love those
Yeah.
big feet.
Yes. So if I find a shoe that I really love, then, and it fits me well without me having to do an insole, then I'll buy, you know, 1 or 2 pairs of that shoe, because I know that, you know, it's something I'm always going to wear, something that I'm always going to take time for and take care of. And it's something that makes me feel sexy. One other thing I always say is get a badass red lipstick. Like, I love red lipstick, as you can see. And there are so many different shades of, like, I'm not
hard to find.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But you know, the right shade is what I'm saying. It's hard to find. You don't want to look like Bozo the Clown.
I love, like, this is NARS. My makeup artist gave this to me. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Maybelline has some really beautiful shades. Who else? It's a lip.
Fenty, doesn't Fenty have a nice shade?
They do. I haven't tried it, but I heard that they're
tried it once and I liked it. I was like, ooh, I need to buy that.
Yeah, and I heard that they're really good. Go to Sephora. Like, so I like Sephora better than MAC because I feel like they're nicer. Forgive me for saying that, but I do. So go to Sephora and tell them exactly what you want. Tell them I'm looking for a nice red lip that, you know, it doesn't have to be as bright as mine, but it could be a burgundy or something in that brick family, and just get it and just own it. And I find that that is something that allows me to say in myself, you know, I'm sexy. Talk to yourself. If you watch Insecure, how she talks to herself in the mirror.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, that helps. It really does. Because when you tell yourself, like, girl, do you see you? Do you see your face? Like, do you see this? You are gorgeous. And you start to believe it after you go through that every day. Like, you have to talk positive to yourself every single day. It's something that you can't stop. You can't skip on. Like, you have to speak to yourself and give yourself that encouragement every single day. Because if you don't and you stop, that allows other people to come in, or those negative thoughts to come in, and you just don't want that at all.
Amen. Those are good tips. So just to recap them, number 1, look at your body naked in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love it. Every part of you.
Every part of you.
You might need some wine the first time you do it, but that's okay.
Yes.
Oh, the second thing you said to do was the lipstick, right?
Yes. Yes.
Get red lipstick. Oh, no, I skipped one. I'm sorry. The second thing you said was to go ahead and get something in your closet you love and wear it as often as you like, because it'll make you feel good. And then last but not least, I was rushing to that red lipstick. Get a really good red lipstick. Yeah. I like that. Even thinking about those 3 things, it makes me feel fierce. Like, I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I bet at first, like, if you don't look at yourself in the mirror naked, people are like, oh. But then it's like, wait, this is working. I can try this. Those are amazing tips. Thank you so much.
And put on some good music, like some good sexy music to get you, you know, dance and get you in the mood. Like, that raises your endorphins, and then you get to that serotonin, and you're like, yeah, I can do all this.
I love it.
So definitely, like, get some really sexy music on, light some candles, you know, spray some perfume, room musk, I don't know, anything that gets you in that mood to feel sexy.
It's brilliant. I love all of your tips. Thank you so much, Olesha. Now I'm going to put it on the website, roxannewilson.com/RT 41. But just in case, how do we get a hold of you? How do we find you? And if you're in the DC area, how do we hire you? Although you go anywhere.
I do. I go anywhere. I go anywhere and everywhere. So you can find me at OhExperience, OhExperience.com. And on Instagram, it's at OhExperience. And on Instagram, I actually have all of my information in the link. So you can see everything. If you want to book me, I have a Queen collection, which is for my traveling. I also have information about myself, or I have a video, which is, I need to put the bloopers up because they're ridiculous. And about why I do what I do and what boudoir means to me. And then it also has access to the Facebook group for the Beauty Tribe.
Awesome. And the blog too, if you want to read and follow around.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you fantastically. And to all of my Roxtalks listeners, just a few things. If you are loving this episode, and I know you are, please go ahead and like, comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, wherever you're listening to, do that as well. Also, if you are watching or listening to it on your phone, go ahead and take a screenshot. And on Instagram, if you would, in your story, go ahead and tag us. We will give you a shout out and say thank you. And if you're watching, you're getting the full extended version on YouTube. If you're not watching it, head over to my YouTube channel for Roxtalks, and you can watch the extended version of this wonderful episode. Thank you so much. You're my first risque episode. I feel really special.
Yes. For many more.
Yes. Here we go. Cheers to that. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
After party, I know the show is over, but Olesha and I were talking, and she started talking about things I don't know about, waist beads, and I feel like you need to know about you. What the heck is a waist bead? What is that?
Okay, so waist beads originated in the motherland in Africa. And so usually what happens is when a young girl reaches puberty, they would put beads on to represent that transition. And also, depending on, what tribe you were, they had different beads to represent different things. Maybe if you were part of royalty, things like that. Like what you would see also with the adornments where they wear, the headpieces and the earrings and the necklaces. It's pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in the States, what happens is we, as always, we make things our own. So some people use it to what we call train your waist. So what you would do is you get string and you would put the beads on. The beads could be glass beads. The ones I actually have are different significance. So I have some that are black jasper. I have, what else do I have? Citrine.
So like healing, like crystals in a way.
Exactly. And they represent different things to different people. So I always, I have 3 sets on right now. But I don't use them to train my waist because I'm just like, it's here, it is what it is. But some people actually use them, and what they'll do is they have the string, and so whatever size they are, if they wanted to make sure they were a certain size, they put it on their waist. And then if you eat too much, like you feel it, you will feel it sticking in or pushing in, and you feel it getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So you automatically know, like I've gone too far. Like I need to roll that back, because this is going to get into my waist and it's going to be uncomfortable.
I do not want one of those. I would be like, must put down Doritos. Oh my gosh, what?
So
margarita.
Yes, if you have cotton string, like that's what they use it for. They have cotton string. Like I've seen women who have like 9 different ones on. I'm not about that life. Like I'm not. Mine have elastic in it because that's just who I am. I know what my journey is. I know what I'm about. I know I'm not trying to, if I go up or I go down, they'll go up and they'll go down. So I'm not something like, it is what it is. So for me, it's more so, helping with my journey. So they all are in sets of 3. For me, my beads, I'm going to try to see if I can take the first pair that I have. I'm going to try to take them off so you guys can see them.
Thank you.
So you can see what they look like. The other pair don't come off. Well, depending on what I'm doing, like if it's a full moon, you could actually put them into the moon, and set your intentions. You can use sage to, clear any negative energy or anything around them. So these are the ones that I actually have. These are my largest ones that I have.
Okay, so they're gemstone chips.
Yes, and these sit lower on my waist. My others are right up in this area, right up here, right above my belly button. But these actually sit on like my hip. And so these have citrine, these have clear quartz.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what this looks like. And this is actually elastic.
All right. And
So
is it comfortable?
it is. Like, I don't feel them unless the only time it's maybe not comfortable if I have something on that's a little too tight, and then you just see it. And it's not uncomfortable. It just looks like they're like, what is that on your waist? Like, why does it look like you're growing something else out of you? But other than that, like I sleep in them. I shower with them. They are not, it's not anything that I feel like they would be cumbersome. Sometimes the only thing I would say sometimes is they'll have the elastic sometimes if I'm not paying attention and I move like a random weird way. It'll get connected to my skin, but it's not anything like painful. It's just uncomfortable, so I'll just move it. But I sleep in them.
When you said wait, I'm like waist beads. Okay, thank you.
They're sexy. Like, they make me feel sexy. Like, when I first got these pair, that's another thing. They make me feel like sexy, and that's why I made a 2 other pair for myself.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dumping all the knowledge today.
I know, I'm learning so much I never knew before. Waist beads.
Yes.
Of course, vaginal steaming. We can't forget that.
I'm telling you, I've heard amazing things about it, though. Like, I've heard the young lady who does it, her name is Noni. She started it because of her sister. Her sister had endometriosis, and she also had issues with fertility. And so that's why she actually started it, because she wanted to assist her, and she couldn't figure out ways to do it, using Western medicine. So she decided to look at different alternative, holistic ways to do it. And so that's why she actually does it. And I've heard amazing stories about women who, have painful periods. And they go in and they do it, she sets us a schedule for you to come in and do it. And they have like amazing stories about how they don't have their periods are not as heavy. They don't have as much pain as they normally would. Their periods, shorter in days. And so I'm just like, okay, like,
it's worth trying. Heck yeah. Heck
yes.
yeah.
Yes.